Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and this is just an update video about some of the projects I've been doing and other thoughts. So let's start with the one behind me. Okay, this quilt that's right behind me right now is called the Diamond Brite quilt. This quilt was designed by Kim Jamieson Hurst, who is the host for the Quilter's Way, which you've heard me talk about before on this channel. It's a club, a paid club. You pay for it monthly. It's very reasonable in price, and I've made a lot of great friends on there, and we get together on a regular basis, Zoom meeting sessions. We were getting together once every week. Now we're going to try getting together just every other week. Too much of a good thing, you know. And she has some plans for a virtual sewing retreat in the fall. We had one in the spring, and that worked out really nice. But what this was part of her Wrangle Your Scraps session that she had on Kim's The Quilter's Way. There are all kinds of video classes and things on there to help you with your quilting journey. And she does like to do these types of challenges that help you organize your fabric stash. And this particular one was for organizing your scraps, which we all have tons of. And the end product, we took our scraps and we made this. And it was a paper foundation idea. Basically, you take a square of paper. It could be copy paper. I use deli paper, actually. And you lay down a strip of fabric in the center of that. Then you add other strips of fabric to either side of that one with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you then take all your squares and put them together in a quilt. So it's very random, it's very scrappy, but with this particular design of Kim's, although it is scrappy and it's made up of scraps, it comes together. And it's the color scheme going from the yellow to the red and in that design. It's a small lap size that we made, but I did quilt this using my walking foot and using wavy lines. And in the center panel, between the borders, I went vertical and horizontal, and then I just did vertical along the borders. I think it turned out pretty nice. It's pretty fast to do, so this is a great kind of thing if you want to give a quick gift to somebody, or if you want to, you know, give it as a charity quilt. And the advantage of doing this type of quilt too is you're using up your scraps. So speaking of using up my scraps, yesterday I was in a very antsy mood and didn't really know what to do with myself. And I always have projects on the go, but I just didn't really feel like working on any of them. It was a beautiful day outside, so I decided to take my Skyline S7 sewing machine and move it outdoors to our patio area. Our patio area is basically an area that we built underneath our deck. We live in a raised bungalow, so we have a walkout basement. And we put this in years ago for our hot tub, and we have a sitting area out there as well, but it's all screened in. So it's private, but also keeps the bugs out, and you can enjoy, you know, the breeze or whatever's coming through in the nice day. So I sat out there with a couple of little portable tables and started to sew. And I still have a lot of scraps that have not been organized. So I grabbed one of my scrap buckets and decided, okay, I'm just going to sew pieces of fabric together willy-nilly. You know, like, not going to worry about it. It was just mindless sewing, but it kept my hands busy. I had some music playing. It was just a nice day out there. I found it very calming, very relaxing, and I did that for about 4 hours. So as I was working on these strips of fabric that I was throwing together, and I wasn't really being too concerned whether they were straight or not straight and what they had on them, just sewed them together, I got this idea. And this is not an original idea to me because I know other people have done this kind of thing, but in my scrap bucket I came across some blocks that probably were experimental. I was putting things together to see what they would look like, and I put them together as scraps, and then I just threw the block back into the scrap bucket and forgot all about it. So I pulled them out and decided they were a fair size. I cut them up into 9.5 inch blocks. Why 9.5 blocks? 9-inch blocks? Because this quilt that I'm making right now is just a scrappy quilt I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing intricate piecing with it. I just wanted to put something together quick. So I created these blocks, and well, I cut them down to 9.5 inches. And if they weren't quite big enough for that, I just added other random strips of fabric to it and then cut them down. So, you know, the blocks got basically destroyed in terms of the way they were cut. So you see, here are my end results, and they're all very different, but you can see in them what the original block might have looked like, but now it's been cut down. And I didn't really worry about where I was cutting it. I just threw my 9.5 inch ruler on top of it and cut around it. And so I made 16 of these. So what I'm going to do next with these is I'm going to lay them out and I'm going to put sashing on them. I might see what they might look like if I didn't use sashing, but I think the sashing would separate them out a little bit, and it gives it a little bit of organization, but at the same time keeping the very, very random, scrappy feel to the quilt when I get it done. I'm going to call this broken blocks, because essentially that's what it's made up of blocks that have just been randomly cut up. And I'll probably add a couple of borders to it, and we'll see what size it comes out, but I think it's going to make it at least a fairly good sized lap, if not a little bigger. It's going to depend on how big a sashing I put on it and how big the borders will be. And then I'm going to quilt it. And I think this is a great opportunity to just throw caution to the wind and do some free motion quilting on my domestic machine with it. Now, you know, I've talked about this before. Free motion quilting often stalls me because I'm afraid it's going to look like a mess. But you know, you got to get over that because you got to practice. Everybody says that. You got to practice to get better at it. So why not take something like this that I really don't care about and just have some fun with it? Just whatever happens. So that's what I'm going to do with this one, and we'll see what we end up with. So on a future Idiot Quilter, I will show you what I've ended up with. So, some coffee here. What else have I been up to? Okay, so let's talk about my 15,000 first of all, the ongoing saga. Okay, so on the weekend, we went over to my local quilt store where my sewing machine is sitting right now as they tinker around with it and try to figure out what's wrong with it and get it fixed. I went over, not for that. I have the stores machine, as you know, and I've been using it, and I've been embroidering on it, and it's been working brilliantly. So that's been great. I mean, I would like my baby back soon, but anyways, in the meantime, it's not a big problem as they work on it. So when I was in the store, it just so happened that Shirley, the store owner, she wasn't in, but she called over to one of the employees that was there, and she wanted to get my telephone number. Now, she didn't know I was at the store at the time. And the other employee, Ellie, she said, well, do you want to talk to him? He's here. So I talked to her, and she said, can you bring in the embroidery unit from the store's machine that I have at home right now into the store on Thursday? Because they have tried everything. And so they're down to now where they figure that it might have something to do with the actual embroidery unit itself. You see, on the 15,000, if you're not familiar with the 15,000, there is a embroidery arm, basically, that attaches to the back of the sewing machine, and that converts it over to an embroidery machine. And this arm sticks out from it at the back, and that's what holds your hoop and everything like that. So I said, sure, I can bring it in on Thursday. So what they're going to do is put her embroidery unit onto my 15,000 and see if they still have the same problems. I guess she had done some FaceTime with some of the people at Genomi's headquarters here, the Canadian headquarters, which is in Oakville, Ontario, which is a few miles west of Toronto. And I'm not sure if they recommended trying this or not. I have a feeling they did. And so that's what they're going to try. And she says, and if that doesn't work, if they can't fix it from there or whatever, then the whole machine and everything is going to the head office in Oakville for them to work with it. Thank goodness I have her machine as a loaner, the store machine as a loaner, because who knows how long this is going to take. I mean, what? I've had this problem now with the machine for going on 2 months or so. Actually, a little longer than that. But she's had the machine in and out of the store for, yeah, 6 weeks anyways. But, you know, I'm not complaining because I want it fixed right and they're working on it. And, you know, as I've said before, Shirley goes above and beyond service. So if you're in this area, Ultimate Sewing, Oshawa, go there. Tell them Steven sent you. You won't be disappointed. Okay, enough for advertisements. They do not sponsor me. I don't get any money from them. I just tell you the truth. Okay, so I will do that. Now, what's ironic about the whole thing, though, is Walter and I have been saying to them over the store, you know, what about the embroidery unit? Could that have anything to do with the problem? No, 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 no. They didn't really poo-pah it. They just, it was sort of like they glanced over it, like as though, no, that's really not an issue. I think that's the issue. But I don't know. I'm not a sewing machine mechanic, so I leave it to the experts. Okay, so I have been embroidering on her machine, as I said, and one of the things that I've been working on, I bought this pattern a few weeks ago. It makes this Christmas banner. It's very elaborate. There are 32 tiles in this, what they call tiles, which eventually, after they're all embroidered, have to be sewn together, sort of like a quilt. And it creates this. Now, this isn't the best picture of it because this is really the layout. But you can see where all those white lines are, those would not be on the finished product. That's where you sew all the panels together, and there are 32 of them. Panels or tiles, I think they call them tiles. So I have started working on this because it's going to take quite a long time. So start now, maybe I'll have it done by Christmas. And I have 2 of the tiles done. And each tile takes probably 45 minutes to an hour to stitch out and prep, because there is some prep to each of these. But this is what the first tile looks like. Okay, and here's the second tile. Now they don't look like much separately, but here's what they'll look like as you start to build this. Have I got this the right way? Yeah, I do. Okay. And as you saw in the diagram, there are 32 of these. There's like 8 in a column, and there's 4 columns. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 8. There's 4 columns, 8 rows. That would make 32. That would be sensible. But anyways, they'll all fit together. Now there is, this is what the back looks like. You have to do some prep. You have to cut your fabric, and then your fabric has to be, you fuse some SF101, fusible interfacing onto the back of the fabric. That just makes it a little bit more stable because there's a lot of stitches in each one of these. And then you have, just give me a second here, I'm just making sure I get, which one is the, that's tile 1. I have these little sticky notes that I clip to each piece so I know which tile we have. There, okay, I'm organized. All right, so what I was saying, you fuse the interfacing, the SF101, onto the back of the fabric, and then you're using 2 layers of stabilizer, tearaway stabilizer, and you hoop that whole mess together. Now they recommend using a spray basting to hold the fabric and SF101 to the interfacing. I did that for the first tile, and that's fine. I didn't do it the second one. I didn't notice that there was any problem. So I really don't want to put basting spray on it because basting spray can gum up your needle a little bit. Although this particular one I'm using 505, it doesn't seem to do that like others might. So, but you know, if it works without it, then less is more. So been working on that. Now the other thing is, I discovered a new embroidery site of patterns. Now actually this came from one of the people on the Quilter's Wave. Hi Rob, shout out to Rob, because Rob really supports this site a lot. It's called John Deere Embroidery. It doesn't go by John Deere Embroidery though. It goes by, I don't know if I can find it. No, it's got a different name than that. But if you do a search on Google for John Deere embroidery, now if you just put in John Deere, you're going to get tractor stuff. Okay, so put in John Deere embroidery and you'll find it. And a lot of really nice designs on there. And I bought a set of designs. They had a special for first timers coming on there, and you could get a couple of they had 3 sets that you could buy at $8.95, regularly about $10 more than that a set. But if you bought all 3, you got 1 free. So I did. Of course I bought all 3. One has this nautical fishy kind of thing, and it's all individual. That's just showing you, I guess you can put the whole thing together if you do that. There's a couple of them. And then all the individual designs. Actually, pretty good value for $8.95, I thought. That's American prices, however. I also, in this package, got something called Elegant Autumn. It was Elegant Autumn that caught my eye. And Walter loves this kind of stuff for his bags that he makes. So he's going to be using those as well. And so a lot of designs in this collection, again, for $8.95. And the third one is one that I wasn't going to buy because it didn't appeal to me. It's called Sweet Pea Baby. For those who make, you know, baby blankets or things like that, baby quilts, this might be more appealing, or, you know, baby's clothes, things like that. But because I bought 2, I got the third one free, so what the heck? Maybe I'll use it for something at some point in time. I have it. Who knows? I might have to make a baby quilt sometime. They also had some other freebies on there. There was this cute one for doing a 3D flower, kind of a coaster thing. Get it into the camera. You see that okay? I'm not sure if it uses organza. Yeah, it does. It uses organza. But this is the instructions for it. So I thought, well, that's okay too. So I will go back to this site for more designs. But the other thing that's really nice about this site is they have a lot of tutorials about doing machine embroidery for any type of machine you're using, basically. And they look very good. But one thing that they had, and this is why I went to the site in the first place, is they have a free mask in the hoop COVID face mask that you can make. And I've been making masks off and on, and I've been making this style, the ones with the pleats in them. And to be honest, I don't like them. I don't like the ones with the pleats. I don't like the way they fit on my face, for one thing, and I don't like making them. And I've tried different things. Originally I had an in the hoop design for making them. It worked okay, but the problem was because of the pleats, there was a really heavy, bulky section that the needle had to go through, and oftentimes that would give me some stress because my thread would break, or, you know, I'd get a bird's nest in behind it because it was throwing the tension of the machine off. So then I decided, I found one for doing it on a serger. Yeah, it wasn't much better with it. Then I decided, well, I'll do it manually, and that's what this one is, and it's kind of crude. You know, I used sort of the satin stitch around it. I don't know, I just wasn't happy with how these were working out, and I wasn't happy with the fit. And that maybe not been the pattern's problem, it may be more my sewing skill problem. So this one I like, far superior, no pleats. It's what I call the robber mask. It fits well, and it covers well. And the beauty of this is it's done in the hoop, and it takes 20 minutes or less. Ooh, messing up my hairdo here. Got to get it cut. Well, I am getting it cut in a week and a half. But yeah. Now there was a bit of a trick because in the tutorial, and they have a video tutorial on YouTube, and I watched that, they were using a more industrial machine, you know, like a 7-thread machine as opposed to a home domestic machine, but the pattern was written that I got for My Janome. So you can do it on there. It took me a moment to figure out what I had to do that was different from their video, but once I figured that out, it was no problem at all. Went along really well. Don't have to do any hand sewing on it. It's good, it's sturdy, and I like it, the style. So yeah, that's how I got hooked into the John Deere site. So if you're into machine embroidery and you haven't heard of them, check them out. John Deere Embroidery. Do a search, as I said, for John Deere Embroidery, not the tractor company, okay? So I also have another embroidery project. You know that I do, and I've shown them before, the monthly doors that are put out by Designs in Machine Embroidery, Dimes, and they're free. And I just downloaded July's. I haven't made it yet, but this is what it looks like. Just gonna get the glare off it. So, yeah, in fact, I haven't done it yet because it was the June door that I had a lot of problems with on my machine when I was doing it a month ago. But of course, that was the machine, okay? This machine that I have now shouldn't be any problem for it. It's not the design. The designs work. So that's on my list of things to do too. And I should get on with that quickly because on Thursday, I get rid of the embroidery unit, as I said, so I may not be able to embroider for a while. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I have a whole pile. You can see over here. Those are all quilt tops, and they go in behind this one. They're hanging up there, waiting to be layered and quilted. And now I have hiccups. Yeah, why do I always get the hiccups when I do a video? I don't know why. Anyways, yeah, they all need to be quilted at some point in time. And yeah, well, I gotta get on with that. But in the meantime, I found another quilt I want to do. Now, this one is from a lady called Brandy. I forget Brandy's last name. It's like, oh yeah, here it is, here. Brandy Maslowiski. Maslowiski. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. It's Maslowski. And she is also known as the Quilter on Fire, or Quilter on Fire. She has a YouTube channel. You can find it under Quilter on Fire. And she is Canadian. And I met her. Actually did a little mini workshop with her on Zoom through the Quilter's Way. About 2 weeks ago, we did that. And we made this little cute little thing. This little basket right here. And this was a lot of fun to make. Really quick. And I have it holding my marking pens and things like that. Really easy, and you could make it bigger than this, and it doesn't take any time at all. I am thinking of doing an idiot quilter tutorial about doing this. I don't think Brandy would mind. But anyways, she has this pattern. She had a quilt behind her when she was doing this little workshop, and it's very Canadian, the maple leaf, and I really liked it, and it was available on her website. So I bought the pattern for this. I'm dying to get started on it. It says its finished size is 50 by 70, so that's not a bad size. And I've got some, I don't know if I have enough, but I have a bunch of the Canadian fabrics I was collecting for Quilts of Valor kind of things and whatnot, and I thought those would work very well. The instructions do not look too complicated. In fact, I haven't really studied these yet, but it looks like it's all made up of, mainly it's just squares and some half square triangles. And that's it. Yeah. So I think pretty easy. I'm not sure how many of these you end up making as far as the numbers are concerned. I'm just looking at the back. She's on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/quilteronfire, all one word, you'll find her. She's on Twitter, twitter.com/quilteronfire. And as I said, she is on YouTube. And she's got her own website where you can buy this pattern and other patterns. She has other patterns and things, and it's quilteronfire.com. So if you're interested, I'm just looking here to see. Yeah, she actually lists the fabrics that she used on here as well. It's a line called O Canada, red, brown, beige, and something leaves. I'll have to look those fabrics up because I might actually buy those. But yeah, looking at the requirements, looks pretty easy. Pretty easy. Although I'm seeing here that she's got note on assembling half square triangles. The trick for measuring is to add 7/8 of an inch to the finished size of the square needed. For this pattern you want 2-inch squares after piecing, so you would cut 2 and 7/8 inch squares. I prefer to cut 3-inch squares, assemble the half square triangles, and then trim to 2.5 before piecing. Yeah, I agree with her on that. That's a whole lot easier. I don't know, I shiver every time I see a pattern that calls for something in 1/8 of an inch. I don't know why, but I do. But yeah, so I'm glad that's there. So yeah, really nice lady as well, knows what she's doing. So check her out, Quilter on Fire, Brandy Maslowski. I think that's how you say it. Okay, we'll pretend that it is. Okay, so that's another project. Now, I did some fabric shopping. Of course I did. And you know me, I'm a fabric whore. So I found there's a new website a lady put up. We had it back about 1.5 years ago. This lady had a brick and mortar store in our area. And she closed that down, and now she's just opened up her website. And she likes to carry some really interesting fabrics like Tulip Pink, Calf Facet, or Cafe Facet, I'm never sure how you say his name. But actually, hers was one of the first stores I went into, and that's where I discovered K Facet. I'm going to call him K Facet right now. Fabrics, and I fell in love with them at the time. And also, that's where I found a kit that made a quilt, a beginner, and it was kind of a sampler quilt, and it was with K Facet fabrics, and I made it, and that was my very first quilt. We've come a long way since, baby. But anyway, she has this online store, so I checked it out. Her prices were fairly good. The one thing I've got, not really against her, but we're in Canada, so most of our fabric is in meters. She sells her fabric by the yard. I'm not really sure why she does that, but if you want to be really nitpicky about meters and yardage, the difference is this. A meter is 39 inches. A yard is 36. So you get 3 inches more fabric when it's done by a meter, okay? And usually the price is about the same. But anyway, she sells hers by the yard. It's neither here nor there, really. It's just for you. Just if you're really cheap, it might bother you. So I ordered some fabrics from her. And so I'm going to show those to you. Just pull them out here. Okay. Put this out of our way. So I'm not really a big fan of Tulip Pink. I mean, I don't hate Tulip Pink, but Tulip Pink is very bold, bright, and she has a lot of designs that are not my cup of tea. However, they are somewhat attractive. And what you're just hearing now is Walter in the shower upstairs, and where I'm in the basement, the water runs through here. Okay, so I hope you can still hear me without any problem. So here are the fabrics. Now, this one is called, I think, Bumblebee or just Bee. So I bought, actually, this came in, the Tulip Pink, she had them as fat quarter sets. And I ordered a double of each of the fat quarter sets. So instead of putting them in fat quarters, she cut me the equivalent, which came out to about a yard. Okay, so I got this, and this is in the same color wave. Okay, if you look really carefully here, that's the bee. Okay, very stylized. And I've got the same one in this colorway and I also got it in this colorway. Now, I'm always attracted to anything that's a bluey, tealy, purpley color. Greens are not my favorite thing, but they've got some of the blue in it. They would go. And oranges and yellows are something that I am lacking in my stash, so that's why I got that. Then, of course, she did have K facet, and I had to have some K. I also got, this is more. This is called Owls. This is Tulip Pink as well. And, okay, this is not a color I often buy. I stay away from pinks. I've never really, I don't hate pink, I don't know, it's just something that I don't like about pink, using it. But this is called Owls, and I'm trying to find, okay, so you can see this. There's an owl in here somewhere. Okay, if you didn't know this was called Owls, you probably would. Okay, all right, there's an owl. All right. See if you can spot the owl. It's kind of like Where's Waldo. Okay, see the owl? So it's a stylized owl. I don't know if you saw it or not. Actually, this one on the back might be easier. It's difficult to hold this up so I can point it out to you, but maybe move over. There's one over there too. There, that one's a little better. They're very stylized, but it is called an owl. But of course, unless you're going to do fussy cutting, you're probably never going to see the owl on that. And that's the thing about buying these kind of fabrics. I got it in a blue-green wave as well, is that it's going to get cut up. So it doesn't really matter what the pattern is on it, because it's going to look totally different when it's in a quilt. Of course, I got some K facet because I like him. And I had found an error on her website when it came to ordering. It wouldn't let you go on to the next page and put your order in because of it. So I contacted her and let her know there was this problem, because basically she wasn't even getting any sales because people couldn't get past that part. And so she thanked me for pointing that out, got it fixed up really quick. And because I did that, she very kindly offered me my choice of any one of the fabrics she had on her website, a free yard of it. So I got a free yard of it. I think this was the one that I got the free yard in. This one, or maybe this one. Might have been that one. Either way, I thought that was very nice. It took only about a week to get to me. It came by Canada Post, which is amazing, because Canada Post lately has, you know, Canada Post is not the best at the best of times. But now, of course, they're using the whole COVID thing as, you know, their excuse. Well, yeah, okay, I get it. But anyways, I got it in about a week, and that was pretty damn good. And so will I order from her again? Probably. Her prices are okay. I think on average they were about $7 something a half yard. I hate that. A lot of websites seems to do this. They'll post their prices, and if you're not careful and don't check it out, you might be thinking, you're, wow, fantastic price, I'm going to get a yard for, you know, $7.50. Well, no, it's usually a half yard. So I don't know if it's just me, that's a standard, I don't know, but I did watch for that. So hers works out to about, oh, depending on what you buy, in around $15, $16 Canadian a yard, which is comparable to other places. Actually, it's better than some places. Now, some of it's a little bit more expensive than that too. It depends on the line. I also, when I was in the store, my regular quilt store, I picked up, I needed some wide back fabric to do those buggers that are hanging up there. And I'm not going to show you that because they're fairly neutral kind of things. But I saw this, and you know I love butterflies. So I think I bought 2 meters of this. And I love it when I go into a quilt store and I grab all these bolts of fabric to get them cut and everything. And so they always say to me, so what are you going to make with them? I don't know. I'm a fabric slut. You know, fabric whore. I just love fabric. It's pretty, I buy it. So then you get it like a box, like this. Yeah, that's not my only fabric, as you well know. I have fabric. I have so much fabric. I don't have any place to store it. I'm running out of room where my sewing room is right now. So I was saying that to Walter the other day. I guess we should seriously start thinking about doing what we were planning, and that's gutting my craft room and making that into a sewing / craft room, but more emphasis on the sewing. And when I say gut it, I mean we have all kinds of stuff in there. My crafting supplies, there's tons of stuff I haven't used in years. I got to get rid of it, find new homes for it, things like that. Keep just my basic essentials that I might use in the future. Get rid of the crappy old counters that are in there now. Well, they're not that crappy. We built them in kind of a thing when we first moved into this house, but we've been here over 25 years. So, you know, things need to be updated. I need more storage space as well, and, you know, I want a huge cutting area, I want a pressing area, I want places for all of my machines and everything. And I'm not really sure where to begin because it's a big job. And to do it right, it's going to be somewhat pricey because I have to buy furniture. And we want to, like when I say strip it down, I mean strip it right down. Everything comes off the walls except for my cabinetry that we've already built in there. That we're leaving that up, of course. But rip up the carpeting, put down a new kind of floor, probably not carpet, probably laminate or hardwood, that kind of thing with it. So that costs money, and that has to be people to do that because we aren't doing that ourselves. Well, one, I couldn't do it in 1,000 years myself. Walter might be able to, but why bother? I mean, it's a lot of work, and it's probably better to have professionals do it, even though it will cost more money. And I would probably get started on it right now, except for this stupid COVID thing, right? So we're going to have to wait a little while for that. So anyways, so I think that's about it for now. So that was just an update on the projects I've been working on and things like that. And as I said, I will show you what happens with this scrappy little broken, what do I call it? Broken block quilt and things like that. So I hope you have a good week or whatever, and we'll see you for the next Idiot Quilt. Oh, something I forgot to mention. Yes. Okay, I recently bought a subscription to Zoom, and I've been experimenting with it. And everybody's about Zoom these days, right? So I am thinking that maybe you might be interested in having a Zoom session where we sew and chat. You know, you bring your project, you hook up your Zoom, I'm on my sewing machine, and we're just sort of like a sewing retreat in a way, but we're just, you know, chatting away and sewing. Or we could also have a little coffee chat. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, except it wouldn't be one way. I'd be able to see you, you'd be able to see me, and we could share our ideas and our projects and things like that and what we're doing. So if you are interested in doing something like that, you will find my email address at the end of this video. It's stephenbland@simpatico.ca. Send me an email message and letting me know that you'd be interested in this. And if you don't mind, I would need your email address as well, because in order to invite you to a Zoom session, I need to send the invitation out to you using your email address. Now, rest assured, I won't share that information with anybody at any time for any reason, okay? So it's perfectly secure. But if you're interested, let me know in the next week via email that you are, and I'll set something up. You know, I'll give you sounds bad, a warning. You know, I'll give you notice that when I'm going to do this, what time. In fact, in that email, if you would like to suggest a time of the day that works best for you in your schedule, then that would be helpful too. So, because I know we're all on different time zones too that watch this. So I would probably do it maybe late morning, early afternoon kind of a thing. And it would be my time zone, which is Eastern Standard Time. So you'd have to figure out what works best for you in your time zone as well, and see what we can do. Think of it as an experiment to start with, because I really haven't done anything like this before. But if that takes off, we'll start small. If that takes off, then maybe we can talk about, you know, getting together for a virtual retreat of some sort, or whatever, or some tutorials or things where I show you how to make something, or maybe one of you could show us how to make something. Okay? Am I charging for this? No. No, so there's nothing for you to lose out on, okay? You're just setting aside some time, okay? So if you're interested, use my email address at the end of this video. Send me an email in the next few days, and I'll go from there, and I'll keep you informed. Okay, have a good one. Bye for now.